I'm ready when you are.
Okay, let's call a meeting to order at 7:01. Crystal, could you please read the roll?
Councilman Goulding?
Here.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Here.
Councilman Gray?
Here.
Councilwoman Mora? Here. Supervisor Esposito?
Present. Also present is our attorney Gerard Parisi. Invocation, Nancy? Stand. Please stand for invocation.
Father God, we come before you tonight asking for your wisdom, knowledge, and discernment for those representing us to know your will for Princetown. We ask your peace and unity that only you can give. Thank you for working your will in our town. Bless those who represent us and their families. We pray as your word says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. We declare this for our town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please remain standing for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Privilege of the floor. At every scheduled town board meeting, the public shall have the right to address the town board during the portion of the meeting referred to as privilege of the floor. Members of the public should restrict their comments to items of town business. Although there is no official time constraint, speakers should be considerate of others so that all interested members of the public have an opportunity to be heard. There shall be one portion of the meeting dedicated to privilege of the floor. Near the beginning of each meeting, all remarks, questions shall be addressed to the board. No person shall enter into discussion with the person having the floor. Council members may address any comment during a portion of the meeting referred to as council member comments. Privilege of the floor is open at 7:04.
Jennifer Blessing, two things. Number one, can somebody please ask that my husband's name and my home phone number be taken off as fire warden? And number two, I don't know if a permit was issued or not, but Joel Besenval's farm is burning a pile of stuff that will be burning for the next probably 3 weeks from what I just saw coming through. And I do have pictures if anybody's interested.
To help you out with that, he's in Cooperstown right now getting open heart surgery.
Joel is?
He's not there.
Okay. Well,
He's
the
in
pile has,
Cooperstown, and it's been burning for 3-4 days.
yeah, we smell it at our
I've
house.
been
too.
there, I seen it. They put dirt on it, what they could do. But Joel's getting open heart surgery was today at Cooperstown.
Okay. Well, based on what I just saw, there appears to be construction debris in there, which I know, based on my husband's prior role, is in most cases not allowed. So I have a feeling there's no permit for him to have burned it at all. But maybe there was, I don't know.
What happened was, okay, he's getting trees and stuff from Harmony Tree, and they're bringing grinding stuff, you know, like where you go grind a tree up. That's what's supposedly burning. And the reason why is because it's been so hot. When you take, if you know, up on Route 7, the Cocos, or not the Coco,
Carlos.
what's his name?
Carlo.
The Carlo. Had it up there, they had a fire up there, and what it is the grindings. And what happens is when it rains like it's rained, and it heats, it's just like hay. A barn will burn down if you put wet hay in it.
Yep.
And that's what's happening here right now.
Okay, well, it looked like there was 2x4s sticking out of it, that's why.
There could be, yes, I'm not saying that. I
Okay.
went and looked at it, I seen it. I got phone calls until 11 o'clock last night.
Yeah,
How's that?
We've been smelling it at our house for a couple days. All right, thank you.
But I'm just explaining, what happened is
Yeah.
the rain on it
Yeah. you
makes
did.
it cook, okay? Just like hay in a barn. You put wet hay in a barn, if you don't put salt on it, it'll burn the barn down.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with that. It's mulch, they're grinding. But I'll admit, there is 2x4s and stuff in there. I'll admit that. I was there, seeing it. And I got phone calls till 11 o'clock last night about it. And the neighbors were all complaining, the smoke was in their house, can't breathe, and it wasn't that bad because the wind was blowing.
Yeah, it's blowing into our house.
Okay, is there any others?
From the Environmental Committee, good news. We have Ms. Pecoraro from Cornell Composting and Recycling, who's agreed to give us an educational session, a free composting class. And that's going to be in November. And then we have a lady, Ms. Philippi from Albany Red Cross, who's agreed that our place looks appropriate for a blood drive. And we don't know whether the date's going to be in October or November. She was awaiting her supervisor getting back from vacation. So we don't have dates yet, but we're happy about that. I'm also happy about the fact that the natural resources inventory is progressing forward through the review process and will be edited some more in the planning board meeting this month. And then we're going to meet the first week in August before the town board meeting so that we can agree with that. And so hopefully you'll have a revised, finally revised document for the August town board meeting.
Thank you, Greg. Any others?
James Nelson, 660 Sterling Road, Pattersonville. I am here today on behalf of the Pattersonville Volunteer Fire Department. I am past chief, current assistant chief. We've been having an issue, and I know the town board can't really do anything about this, but I want to make you aware of this. The solar farm on 160, they have been dragging a lot of mud and stone out onto the road, which is a state highway, for a number of days. When it's wet and rainy, they get stuff on the road. Multiple calls to DOT, make them aware of it. On Friday, there was an accident in that area, and it involved an employee of the solar company driving a UTV on the road and got struck by a car. Since then, I found out there's been multiple near misses with that kind of a scenario. Now, the person who was driving the UTV, the lady, ended up getting life flighted to Albany Med and was in fairly serious condition. Luckily, she survived. Comments were that it was pretty impressive that she did. The problem is the mud and the stone on the road. DOT told me that they could pull their access permit if they didn't clean it up. DOT is not responsible to clean that off the road, nor do they want the company cleaning it off the road. Fills in their ditches, may cause problems to the road. What's supposed to happen is the company is not supposed to get it on the road. Now that brings me to maybe something that the town might be able to look into. I am not an expert on stormwater runoff. I've talked to some people who are, and they say that the situation there is questionable. How is it that the stormwater is running down the driveway and into the ditches on the road, dark, muddy water, and then they're driving in open areas, getting mud on their tires, driving across their stone driveway entrance and bringing it onto the road? To me, personally, that says that there's a problem with their plans for the roads and the mud. I don't know where that falls under that. The problem I'm running into is the more people I talk to, they all say it's not my problem, it's not my jurisdiction. I don't have the enforcement capabilities for this. They tell me it's the town. So I'm coming to you asking you, review your plans if you can. If you're not sure, maybe get somebody who does know this stuff, that doesn't have an interest in it, to say whether it's right or it's wrong, because there's something not right there. The long and short of it is, we're having to deal with this, coming up and down 160, mud, stones. Somebody's gonna come down there when it's raining in a motorcycle or a bicycle, and in the summertime, there's a lot of bicycles and stuff, and somebody is gonna have an accident there due to that stuff. It's great, we can all go home and say, oh, well, you know, it's not my problem, but it is. The UTV was not supposed to be on the road, you're not supposed to run those on the road, it's illegal. Here again, they do it all the time, they're doing it still. Yeah, and I know that's not the town's problem, because that's a legal thing, but on a personal note, one of the other problems I have with it is, as the fire department, we sat down, we made comments at the planning board meetings. We asked for two things. We asked for wider roads, and we asked for a fence that was childproof between the solar facility and the youth camp that's there. The fence they put up that you can see from the road is not what we kind of had in mind that would be childproof. I mean, you know, maybe a little kid, but not a teenager.
No, little kids can climb it.
Yeah, so I don't know where that got lost in the translation. I don't know. The condition of the roads, I have no idea, because we don't inspect, we don't enforce, we just make recommendations. That's all on you guys. As a personal note, one of the things I asked was, how is this not going to be seen from the road? You're going to come down the hill and you're going to be able to see this expanse all over there. The response was, it's going to be screened off, you're not going to be able to see it. Well, when does that happen? How many years does it take for that to happen? Right now, they've planted dead arborvitaes there. That's not going to screen anything off. So are they following your plans? I don't know. So that's, you know. On another note, listening to her complaint, and I'll tell you, as a fire chief, there's supposed to be someone there at that all the time when you're burning. It's supposed to be out at night, and there's not supposed to be construction debris in it, unless it's clean. On a farm, you can burn agriculturally without a permit, but you still have to follow those rules. So if there's a problem there, call the fire department, let them come and put it out, or call DEC. They're the enforcement agency, not the town. When the town has a problem, when the fire warden has a problem, he calls DEC, and they come out, and there's fines associated with that. It's not supposed to burn on time, days, whatever. No. They get a machine, they dig it out, and they put it out. There's not supposed to be stumps in it. Even if it's smoldering mulch, we put out mulch fires all the time. But you don't let it keep burning.
Who else did you say you called? DEC?
You call DEC for that. They'll come out right away.
And the fire
And
chief.
fire.
Yeah, call the fire department.
So
Call
my husband.
Yeah. Her husband, in the position he is, has a hard time being able to call the fire department because that's like a little conflict there, you know. You see something that's wrong, and now you're trying to cause trouble or whatever. We went through that, so. If you see it, don't call Doug Gray. That's not his deal. Call the fire department. They're there to put it out. Don't bother him, you know? So anyway, that's all I got. Any help you could give us with that situation with that solar farm would be appreciated.
Did you give him, Crystal, a FOIL request and give him those three reports we got before he leaves?
Are you gonna stay with me?
No, I have to leave. Sorry.
You fill it out because it's clear now. Okay.
I don't need them. I mean, we just need somebody to do something. We don't need reports and stuff. We need somebody to go down there and do something about it. That's all. I don't care whether the solar farm's there or not anymore. They just need to do something to stop the mess. It's a disaster down there.
So I'll be next because it relates to this. I gave you guys a letter in May. At the end of the meeting, I handed it to Mr. Cavaldi, and then he gave it to you, Lou, and it stated that you have complete control over everything dealing with this solar field. It's not the state's problem, it's not NYSERDA's problem, it's your problem. It is too small to have this control. And also that facility was supposed to move the ditch off of our property back when they were out at the end of April, and it still hasn't happened yet. So you guys aren't watching them because they're not supposed to be working in the mud. That's against the rules. Everything they're doing is against the rules. And nobody from your town is doing anything about it. And you've been told for 2 years now that there's a problem there. And you have control. And you've done nothing. Because you didn't want to leave us, I don't know what, but it's your problem. They are not supposed to be working in the mud to have to worry about dragging it out on the road. They're not supposed to be doing that. They're not supposed to moving property. They're not supposed to cut trees off of other people's property. They're supposed to have shielding around. They put all the trees, dead trees, by the road. It's not around the whole facility. So now I still am gonna have to see it from my property because they cut trees down off of our property. If they stayed the 50 foot away like they were supposed to from the property line, they wouldn't have had to move the ditch, they wouldn't have cut trees down, they wouldn't have done anything. And I really hope that you guys do this because you know what Mr. Pavoldi told me at the end of the meeting last time? This sounds like a civil issue. I said, well, the first people I sue are you because it's your problem.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Did your hand up first? Go ahead.
Oh, you can go ahead.
Patty Madowitz, 457 Sanborn Road, Pattersonville. Regarding the solar facility on 160, I drove past there this week and there was mud and debris all over the road. It's a mess. Last month, and I did call DOT. Last month in June, I was driving down that road. I was slowing because it's a construction area and 2 pickup trucks passed me on the double yellow line and then turned into the solar facility. They apparently were workers or somehow affiliated with the facility. It's a mess there. Thank you.
Any others? Linda?
Yeah. Just a minute. I thought I'd shut that thing off. I just wanted to comment on the proposed audit resolution that's in the agenda tonight. My name's Linda Gaddis, and I've lived in Princetown for 30 years, and just for transparency purposes, I am the chair for the Princetown Republican Committee. I just feel that one of the most important things in our country right now is voter integrity, and I know there's been polls taken and at least 50% of the population of the country feels the same way. The thing is what I see and what I hear and what I experience from a lot of people I know, from people coming in and out of my business, there's way too many people that are discouraged about the voting, the securing of the votes, and a lot of people have said they just don't want to vote anymore. I know a lot of donors, I know a lot of volunteers that have worked on campaigns, and they're done. They don't want to be involved anymore because they say, what's the use? Because they don't trust the government, they don't trust the voting system, and you know, that's really tragic. And I just feel as long as I have breath, I still have hope. And the only reason I even got involved in politics was to make a difference and to try to make changes and speak up for changes that'll make things better for everybody. So I just feel that I'd really like all of you to think in your hearts, basically,
about how you feel about the subject, about voting integrity and maybe voting reform that we need. And a lot of people have been talking that maybe, you know, a statewide audit isn't necessarily, you know, what can be accomplished, but maybe county by county. But people want to know, they want an independent audit. They don't want to hear from the Board of Elections that they do audits. They don't want to hear, you know, that, like we're hearing all the time from representatives. You know, there's always a little fraud, but not enough to make a difference. So they want an independent audit to do away with these suspicions. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Our republic's on life support right now. And without a strong voting system, without secure votes, we have no republic. So I just, you know, we actually had someone from New York State Citizens Audit come and speak at our Republican Women's Club. And we packed out the banquet room at KBO Burns because so many people are interested in the subject and they want something done. And when they saw the presentation, in fact by Kevin, who's here tonight, they were blown away by their findings. And so there's a lot of other towns that are considering the resolution. You know, a few representatives were actually at our meeting and saw the presentation. So I just wanted to, because everything I've seen by them, everything I've read by them, they don't lean towards any parties. They're bipartisan. They're not looking to, you know, change an election. They're just looking to, you know, get their information out that these people have worked on since 2020. They've been working on going through tedious information that they've gotten right from the state's own records. And they found so much irregularities that they feel that it calls for an audit and an independent audit. Because I know that the New York State Board of Elections, they're saying they do audits. People don't trust that. You know, they want somebody independent. So that's just what I wanted to say.
So my name's Chris Fitzgerald, and I'm going to follow up a little bit on what Linda said. So the citizens audit of New York State voter roll databases conducted after the 2020 and 22 general elections used raw data received via FOIL from the state and county boards of elections, uncovered millions of violations of federal and state election law. Highlights of the findings include millions of invalid registrations, hundreds of thousands of votes cast by legally invalid registrations, massive vote discrepancies, and the presence of at least 4 algorithms hidden in the New York State voter database. The law says that each voter in New York State receives one state voter ID number for their entire voting life. Yet 2.4 million New York State voter ID numbers were attached to 1.1 million registrants. That discrepancy of 1.2 million registrations are clones. A cloned registration is one that shares the same identifying information as other registrations, so the same name, address, etc., but has its own unique state Board of Elections ID number. And because each of those 1.2 million clones have a unique state ID number, all of them can vote, regardless of whether they're a real person or not. The law says only legal registered voters can cast a vote, yet over 740,000 ineligible votes were cast in the 2020 election. The law says that the number of votes cast must equal the number of voters who voted. Yet, there were over 338,000 more votes than voters who voted in 2020. In fact, one county election official verified that assertion. He compared the number of votes he submitted to the New York State Board of Elections on election night to the number the New York State Board of Elections officially recorded. The numbers did not match. It would be interesting for all counties in New York State to know if their numbers matched what has officially been recorded by the State Board of Elections. These findings of the voter roll audit were peer-reviewed and published in a major scientific journal after rigorous examination by 3 independent cyber intelligence experts. Based on the findings and their verifications, election officials probably unknowingly certified provably inaccurate, non-compliant elections in both 2020 and 2022. It is the duty of our election officials to comply with all federal and state laws governing the administration and procedure of our elections to guarantee that they are accurate and free of distortion or manipulation. We are not asserting any candidate one over another, nor are we asking for an election to be overturned. We are simply asking for an audit, an end-to-end audit of the 2022 general election. We're asking the state to do that. By federal law, annual financial statements of public companies must be audited every year by independent auditors. And in New York State, if a nonprofit organization has revenue of over $1 million, a certified audit report is also required. So why would anyone be against an audit? It just doesn't make any sense, especially when requiring annual audits of businesses and organizations is a normal practice. Do we really not want to know if there are issues in our voter database? Don't we want to ensure that all of our elections are fair and accurate and follow the law? And does it not matter that there are a significant number of citizens, most of whom haven't even seen this data, don't trust the electoral process? I would hope that our election officials would do everything possible to ensure elections are accurate and trustworthy and to restore the public's faith in our process. This resolution that a New York Citizens Audit is trying to get people to sign is just one thing we're trying to hold the state accountable. We're trying to ask them, just audit this, audit the elections, that's all we're asking for. Whatever comes out from the independent auditors, that's what it is. But we're asking for an independent audit so that we can have faith in our process. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. My name is Kevin Goggins. I appreciate you considering the resolution. So why are we here? We've been doing this, as you heard, for well over 2 years, well over 10,000 community hours put in by citizens, free. We're not funded by anybody. We do this on our own time. We feel like we need to find out what's happening. We found that information, much more. We have reports. We have it all available on our website. It's all free and available. And we were recently, within the last 2 months, peer-reviewed, published in a scientific journal. Peer-reviewed and published was a big buzzword going into COVID, if you remember correctly. Major thing, had to be, everything had to be peer-reviewed and scientifically proven. Well, we are scientifically proven, peer-reviewed by 3 data scientists. This is going on in the state with all those abnormalities. One that I just want to mention to you, there were hundreds of thousands of voter registrations created, purged. Just try to think about that for a second. How is that possible? How can a voter registration be created and as purged? Why would it be? We've asked those questions. The reason we're here now, nobody's given us any answers. We've spoken to the Secretary of State, given the information to the Secretary of State, Attorney General, Inspector General, DAs, sheriffs, you name it, every county boards of officials, county legislatures, county elections folks. I tried the dog catcher, hoping you might want to get involved. Anybody, nobody's done anything. So we are here because you are our closest representatives, that you represent us. We don't expect you to fix this problem, we understand that. But by passing these resolutions around the state, we're presenting hundreds of these around the state, they will begin to take notice. That pressure will move up to the county legislature. We'll continue to apply pressure by the public and citizens who are here to get this accomplished, so we can get that audit accomplished and make sure our elections are free and fair. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Any other? Okay. I think we can address that right now, what you were speaking about. I'll comment on it. I'm all for voter ID. We had it once before, and I think we should have it again. I don't understand why it went away. I do understand why it went away. I shouldn't say that. I am all for it. And voter, the integrity of the elections, I agree with you on that. I don't know by us passing it, which we probably will tonight, but I'm assuming, I don't know. To what end is it gonna do? How is it gonna help? I mean, we're a small town, 2,800 people in this town. I can't see what it's gonna do, and I can open this up for the rest of the board to comment on it then.
I'm for the resolution. I think it's always a good idea to double check anything. We do it at the school, we do it in businesses. We're going to talk about auditing the town tonight financially, so.
Okay.
I travel all over the state on business. You can't even get into a building anymore in New York City unless you have an ID. And you show it to security. I mean, it's not, I have no problem with ID. I mean, you go to your doctor's office, you have to show an ID.
I agree. Nicole, you got anything?
I do, guys. I'm for it.
Can I just answer your question now? Because that's a good question. The hope is, as we have hundreds of towns pass this, we need to get the state legislature to take notice. They need to understand the citizens want some action. So by kind of pushing that action up to that level through our closest elected representatives, that's what we hope to accomplish. That's one of our strategies. We have multiple others, but this is one of them to get them to understand, because we presented it to them. We also presented it in front of the State Election and Assembly Committee on May 1st in the legislative office building, which is available on our website. So we've given them all the information. They're not doing anything about it, much like the frustration with a fire. It's no one's doing anything about it. Everybody's going like this. So we need to get that pressure from below to push it up from the citizens and say, no, you need to take action on this.
Who's gonna pay for the audit?
New York State has gotten $80 million from the Help America Vote Act by the federal government. Last we checked, there was much money left in that account. We think it's more than reasonable to take money from the Help America Vote Act to make sure you're living up to the Help America Vote Act. There's other ways, they can decide, but that's a suggestion.
Okay. Is there any others? Like to comment? So is it the floor? Thank you, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? Okay, we'll close up for the floor at 7:35. Okay, this is from our, from water over here, gallons pumped, 2,405,000, maximum daily usage, 162,700, minimum daily usage, 22,000. Daily average, 80,000. We have the following water main breaks, leaks, June 24th, service line break to Old Pangburn Road, repaired by Leonard, same day. Issues, work done, generator at the well house, update, still working with the insurance company and Troy Solutions to make repairs. Some parts have arrived and have been installed, waiting for additional parts. The room has been professionally cleaned and waiting for the company to paint. All meter readings are completed, water payments are due by the end of the month. repair of the hydrant across from 1434 Gifford Church Road, update, parts have arrived, scheduling repair work with Larned, pressure reducing valve at Gifford Church Road, booster pump station, still waiting on parts, general maintenance performed, respectfully submitted. Rick Rourke. I'd like to comment on the water main break. I'd like to thank Doug. I was there with him when he came and told me about it, but Larned's crew could not make it in. It was Josh, who was the manager, the foreman for Larned, that does the repairs. They didn't have an operator to work the track out. Doug volunteered and he was there till, I don't know, 12:30 at night. He was there all day, plus till 12:30 at night, along with some volunteers, Preston Whiteley and Spencer Peterson. They all helped. I can't mention all of the other people that were there to help. I don't know their name. But I just want to thank them all for jumping in and helping with the repairs. Thanks, Doug. We appreciate it. You're welcome. Okay. Any other comments? Got any questions? Jim?
No, I also want to thank Doug. You know, without him, without his equipment, without his understanding and knowledge of how to do this, we could have been in big trouble. So, and he doesn't charge us. I don't know why. We could pay him. But thanks, Doug.
Part of my job.
Okay. See what we got for code enforcement. Do we have any?
Yep.
Give you the copy? You want mine? You don't have
Yeah, we should. Thank you. Building inspector, monthly report, total permits 2, permits issued 2, permit inspection fees collected $1,113, building inspections 8, zoning review 1, fire inspection 0, final building inspection 0, certificates of occupancy compliance 1, bank deposit report $1,113, check to supervisor 0, checkbook balance as of July 11, 2023, $2,334.24, activities in zoning 1, working on planning and zoning as needed, working on permit, final inspection is needed, reviewing plans as needed. Thomas Vereen, building inspector. Any questions on Tom? Ben? Jim? Nicole? Doug? Okay. You're up, Ben.
There was a call about three weeks ago on Monday. It was a rollover accident on 88. I had already responded there as fire police for Pine Grove, and the chief notified me that there was a dog in the car. She was okay, appeared okay, but she was scared, didn't want to come out of the car. The owner was outside of the car being worked on and was going to be sent to Albany Med. So I was able to get her out of the car into mine. I didn't really want to take her to the dog pound because we knew who the owner was. So we had to wait. I had to wait for probably about 3 hours for the son and his daughter to come up from, she's down in, I don't know if it was Suffolk County or it was down a couple hours south of here on the thruway. So less than 3 hours, I was able to give the dog to the son over at Albany Med when he went there to see his father. And he appreciated that because it would have been impounding the dog overnight. The dog had already been through enough, and so they got the dog back to home that night. So that all worked out good. We were happy about it. That was it.
All right. Well, thank you, Ben. You have any questions, Doug, for Ben? No. Nicole? Jim? Hey, thank you. We got anything from the assessor, Crystal?
Nope, nothing from the assessor, nothing from the court.
Buildings and grounds, the air conditioning units are complete now. They're installed, they're up and running. We haven't had, well, We did have some problems with it that were corrected, so that project is just about complete. I guess they got to replace a wire in the assessor's office, but that's a minor problem. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Any questions? Jim? Okay. Crystal?
I don't have anything to report this month. It's usually pretty quiet in July and August in the town.
The paying of the water bills, you want to say the times are for that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
So, it's not my department because I don't collect water tax bills, but on the water tax bills this year, it does say please remit by mail is the preferred method, but Isla is here Monday through Wednesday from 9 to 4 to take payments. And there's always the drop box outside town hall doors. Unable to come during office hours as usual.
Okay, thank you. Public hearings, we have none. Resolutions, minute meetings. Is hereby resolved the meeting minutes of the June 13th, 2023 regular town board meeting are approved or as amended. Discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Crystal?
Councilman Foldy?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passed. Water operator. It is hereby resolved that Clark Collins be appointed licensed water operator at the rate of $26.02 per hour with a term to expire 12/31/23. Discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Foldy?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passed.
Just want to clarify real quick, you said 2602, but it says 2601 in the minutes. Does it matter?
Penny difference.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Thank you.
We're going with 01?
Yes.
Okay.
Fire warden. Is
Why
hereby...
would you put a penny in there?
I didn't want to put it at 01 and then have them say, well, Lou said 02.
Fire warden. It is hereby resolved that Michael Camponi be appointed fire warden with a term to expire 12/31/23. Discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Foldy?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Approval of financial advisory services. It is hereby resolved that the town board approves the proposal provided by BST and Company CPAs LLP to provide financial advisory services to the town of Princetown at a cost not to exceed $10,000. Discussion?
We haven't had an audit in, what, 25 years?
Since the water system was put in 21, 22 years ago.
So it's reasonable that we do this at this point. You know, we haven't had one in a long time.
So I read through the scope of work, and maybe I'm misinterpreting something, but I don't really see in the 9 bullet points that they have, which one of these is an audit. Town Law 123, if I understand that correctly, is what we do at the end of the year where we balance the checkbooks, which I guess they would help with, but this to me doesn't appear to be like a formal audit.
No, it's not a full audit. You were here at that meeting.
Right.
It's not a
So
full audit.
we paid Cusack, I don't know, $6,000 almost to look through our procedures. And their feedback was that mostly what we're doing is pretty good. They had some minor improvements that we can make, like training a second person, double signing checks, stuff like that. And this just seems a little redundant in that we've kind of already done this. I don't want to spend another.
Well, they didn't review our books.
Right. But that's not, unless I'm misinterpreting this.
Well, you were here at that meeting, and he said that he's gonna be working with the bookkeeper on this, so it's a little bit different than what we had before. If you remember correctly.
So I
I do think it's gonna be a little bit different, in the sense, I think, like what he's saying, like, he's gonna work with, the bookkeeper. From what I was understanding, which I never read the news of this, but, he's supposed to be sitting with her and like going through everything, like the financial statements. Is that what you guys were understanding? I thought he was gonna go through all the financial statements and stuff like that.
We did send him that report. That was already sent. When did you send that, Crystal?
Monday. Is that the review when it was
Yes,
possible?
yeah, you do report. I personally think it's a good idea to do a complete audit on our town finances. It hasn't been done in 21 years.
Is this an audit?
No, I told you what it was. She can explain
Right,
it.
so I'm on board with doing an audit. We should financially. It's a good practice, but we're spending another $8 grand to do something that's really already been looked at. Our procedures have already been looked at. And the feedback was pretty good.
But he's going to be working with the, if you remember correctly, he was at the meeting, you were there. He said he's going to be working with the bookkeeper on these procedures and the audit too. So that's the way I understood it, and that's the way.
I thought it wasn't, I thought he was doing the full audit.
This isn't a full audit.
No, it's not a full audit. He's going to be doing it after.
Right. To spend another $8 grand and then also pay for a full audit, it's going to be very expensive.
Right, so you're saying like this, and then additionally, you pay
Right.
for a whole other audit.
Well, we're not planning
More
on
expensive.
another full audit after this, are we?
This isn't a full audit.
It's not an audit.
It would be providing accounting services to the town, which we already do.
The state comes in and does it too.
Yeah, if you have an issue, they'll step in.
So we had an issue over here for $10,000 that was given away, and the controller's office didn't even want to look at it. And they were notified.
So, is there a way, like, 'cause I see what you're saying, like, if we're gonna be repeating a lot of stuff that the other people did, if it's redundant, I understand that, but is there a way?
Well, especially if Cusack had said, you know, you have some major systemic problems in your accounting, then absolutely have a firm come in. But that's not what they said. You know, the feedback, good. And so, you know, if this was an actual audit where they sat down and went through all the statements, made sure everything balanced or whatever, I'd be on board with that. That's not what this is my understanding. I don't want to spend $8 grand here and then another 20 to do an audit. We can just do the audit.
Well, it was my understanding he was gonna look at
He's going to be working with the bookkeeper.
the checkbooks, the balances, the whole,
He was
That was
going
my
to work with the
understanding.
bookkeeper and go over things with her. And
Well, right, and that's like where it says scope of services continued, like 5 through 9 is sitting with her and we going through all the accounting records and all the funds and the reconciliations and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that
But
was
yes,
not
the first couple that Ben's talking about, yeah, we did get that worked out. But the other stuff is extra.
Yeah, so Cusack had said that those things we were doing appropriately,
Right.
you know?
So are you suggesting maybe we, like, if they could not do what we already had done and decrease the price maybe?
Well, I'd like to see an audit, just a straight audit.
Okay.
I'll look at the procedures, which apparently, according to Cusack, are already pretty good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Being double charged a little bit.
Right.
but he didn't do what they're gonna do here. He didn't go
No,
through.
no, no, but he's saying, the other guy already came in and went over procedural work.
Procedures is not.
Controls and stuff
yeah,
like
but-
that, where he's saying, we're paying to have something that was already done, which I understand, but this guy is gonna do the extra stuff in terms of.
This is deeper than a procedural analysis.
Right.
Right, so my concern is we do this, and then we're gonna pay another 20 grand or 30 grand to also do an audit. Might as well just.
I don't
do
think
it.
that's the plan, is it?
so what he's going to have to, if we want to do a complete audit, where they take every voucher and go through them and
We may not need this. We're hoping that he goes through this and we don't need a full audit.
But he's saying, what if we do?
Right.
well,
And then we
if
just
we
pay another, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
we do.
I'm just one vote, even if I vote no and it passes, it passes, so. Unless, I mean, Gerard, am I misunderstanding this? I don't,
I don't read this to be an audit, and I wasn't at this meeting yet, so I don't know what he said, but the way I'm reading this, reads more like prospective, not reviewing past transactions. I don't know what you're looking for. If you're looking to review past transactions or look to make sure things are good going forward. But this to me looks like assistance with procedures going forward. I don't read anything about audit of past transactions in here. So to me, it doesn't look like an audit. If that's what you're looking for, I don't think it doesn't read like you're getting it.
Can I say something quick? Based on what Jar just said,
For
it
moving the
sounds.
floor over.
Well, I mean, we could table it and talk to him and find out exactly what he's going to do.
I mean, do you want to review past transactions or you don't want to review past transactions? I think that's the
I wanted
question.
to do a full audit. I think it should be done.
And by the way, full audit, they don't look at every transaction, even a full audit, just so you know. They come up with materiality levels, what's material, and then you check bigger transactions to make sure, they don't check every last transaction, but, an audit is looking at the past transactions to make sure financial statements are reasonably accurate, not 100%.
No, they're not gonna dig that deep.
Yeah.
They might pick a few, or they might be like, they're gonna take like a, not a poll, but like,
Sample.
thank you, yeah, they take a sample, and if all those check out, they're gonna say, okay, everything else is probably good. If in that sample there's a whole bunch of stuff that's wrong, then they're gonna dig deeper. But
And
it
you
just
could
depends on-
probably, maybe you could probably work with them to decide what's material and what's not to affect the cost of the audit. You know, if you say anything over $200, it's different than anything over $10,000. And that's going to determine how much time and work they have to put in, the number of transactions they're going to have to look at. So I don't know if you talk about cost of an audit, but there may be a way to, control the cost of an audit by working with them to decide, what do you really need them to look at? If somebody stole 3 cents, it's not worth paying auditors to come in and check 3 cents. I'm not saying anybody stole anything, I'm just saying as an example.
Would you be available if we meet with them?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll do that.
Yeah, because I'm on board with getting the finances looked at. I think it's a good practice, but I just don't want to double pay for stuff that we've already had checked out.
If there's some of the stuff that we could get rid of and not have to pay for, I understand that.
So we'll table this and
Well, we're going to meet with
yeah, he'll let him explain exactly what he's going to do.
We probably just do a phone call with them.
Zoom meeting.
Just a comment or a Zoom, that's fine.
Okay. We can do a Zoom meeting in your office.
Sure.
Okay. When do you want to do it? Give me some dates. Let me see.
I won't be there.
Okay. Then that's what we'll do. We'll have a Zoom meeting with them at your office and,
If anybody wants to sit in, just give me your email and we'll set up a Zoom. If you want to listen.
Yeah.
you good with that, Jim?
Yeah,
You available for that?
yeah, sure, Zoom is easy.
I was thinking of the guy without the email. Does he want to be?
Well, you can come to my house.
Okay.
Yeah, one of us can sit with them.
Okay, and that's what we'll do. I'll give them a call and you give me some dates and we'll meet with them. We'll do a Zoom meeting. That sounds good to me. You all good on that? Okay.
You got a motion to table.
I'll make the motion we table.
I'll second.
Councilman Goldie?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Lucia?
Yes. It's tabled. A resolution urging New York State Legislature and Governor Kathy Hochul to draft and enact legislation regarding a voter's identification process. Like I said before, I agree wholeheartedly with this.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Goldie?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Lucia?
Yes, resolution passed. Resolution for an audit of New York State 2022 general election. Upon the motion of council member, seconded by council member, see full page for the resolution. We don't need to read all of that. We already discussed it.
Everybody has a copy in their agenda packet.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Crystal?
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passed. General funds claims, are hereby resolved the town board approves claims number 122 through 137 in the amount of $30,708. Discussion,
Make a motion.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Water funds claims, are hereby resolved the town board approves claims number 77 through 87 in the amount of $7,431. Discussion, is there a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Trust and agency fund claims, is hereby resolved the town board approves claim number 6 through 7 in the amount of $6,799. Discussion, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Crystal?
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Discussion on the Johnson Controls versus Center for Security. Did you read the proposal from Center for Security?
Very expensive.
Yes, they have to replace the whole system. Did you read it?
I didn't read it all, I scanned it and I looked at the price.
Yeah, I agree with them. I scanned it, but.
There's a problem over here. Johnson Controls over here was really, he took a beating on them, coming in to repair. What did it cost us, Crystal?
So last year in 2022, we spent $37.50 total. All we normally pay is $350 for our annual contract price. So there was,
They charged us like, what, was it over $5,000? And we got it reduced because he actually wasn't here, probably a total of an hour and a half,
we had 3 different service calls.
or 2 different service calls. He was here probably an hour and a half. He charged us $3,700 if I'm not mistaken. They're not very reliable, but the whole system has to be replaced.
Does it have to be rewired or can you use the current wiring?
They don't have to use, they can use the same wiring, but they have to replace all of it. Same units, they have to replace the control panel, it's a different control panel. One way or another, we gotta get a fire alarm system in the building.
And this is gonna be a monitored system.
Yes.
It's not a local alarm.
No, it's gonna be monitored by them. It's supposed to be monitored by Johnson Controls too, but they seem to not be doing anything.
Yeah.
They did just send us a bill when I told them to cancel the account, they still sent a bill.
Do we have that in the budget? I mean, have we got that money in the budget?
Well, we got money, you see that.
Because we didn't figure on this
No, I know we didn't.
when we did our budget.
I think everybody's got to go back a second. I don't know that you can all be on a Zoom meeting because it's probably an open, it's probably considered a meeting with the accountant. Unless you notice it. Make it open to the public, so probably 1 or 2 of you should attend the meeting. Not everybody. I don't know if everybody was planning on attending, but I just want to mention that.
Okay.
Sorry.
So what do you want to do with this fire alarm system?
Is the one we have right now, is it working?
No. No.
So right now, we have no protection.
Nothing.
Well, then we don't really have much of a choice.
We could go back with Johnson Controls, but they're going to want to come in again and replace some of these units. I don't know what they would charge again. To get this other one up and running again.
Do we have to get multiple bids on it? That's a lot of money, it's $17K.
Yeah, probably.
So we might have to have multiple bids anyway. Do we need it, 1710?
Yeah, I think our regular one's over 10.
Yeah, but I think professional services, I think, are exempt from that. I think, I gotta look at the procurement policy, but
Yeah, over, off the top of my head either.
I think it's exempt from that, but it still doesn't hurt to get bids.
Well, we know that what Johnson Controls is gonna be.
They gave us a quote?
Well, no, they were coming in to replace the units on the ceiling over here, and like I said, they weren't here an hour and a half, and they charged us what? It was gonna be upwards of $5,000.
Yeah.
They just, after I complained, they lowered it down. They said we weren't gonna pay that. They sent a bill for that. I forgot what it was at the time. They sent us a bill, and I said, we're not paying it. He wasn't here an hour and a half total. I think he was here, what, half an hour the first time? He was here 15 minutes when he came back the second time. Because I had to come down and let him in. Well, gotta make a decision here.
Are we gonna
have a fire alarm system?
And we have to move on it tonight in order to get
Well, we
him
don't
to
have
come
a
in?
fire alarm system in here. The insurance company said.
I don't want to let it go another month, to be honest with you. I just don't think that's a good idea.
You could just pay $350 to reconnect with Johnson Controls, but each of these, we kept having the alarm go off, so we had to call them. So each of the sensors, they want to replace them, so you can.
But that's not uncommon. I mean, these things need replacing every 4 or 5 years.
But for $2,500
For how many?
per one.
For one? No, that's something, right?
I don't know how many we have in the building right now. I just know they were going one at a time, and for the 3 service calls we had, that's what they were charging us per visit.
These are Adjustables. No, that's not a detector, right? Or it is?
No,
The red things on the wall.
no.
No, they're up in the
The
ceiling.
detectors are on the ceiling. That's the light.
So that is the sounders.
There's 20 some in the building, I think.
20 detectors.
Yeah, somewhere around there. They're in each office, and they're in the hallway, there's a few of them. The community room.
I mean, they don't have to replace the lights.
No,
They don't have to replace the emergency lighting.
that's all been replaced.
It's just the detectors, essentially.
Detectors and a panel.
And
Well,
the panel.
no, not with Johnson Control.
Well, Johnson Control could use their panel. How old is that panel?
7, 8 years.
That's starting to get old too.
That was when
Technology.
Bob was here.
This might be a good price then.
Yeah, that's old technology in that panel. So my guess is we should just,
Yeah.
we can't go without the protection. We need to have it done.
So Crystal had just said too that we pay $350 per month
Per year.
per year.
It's an annual cost with Johnson right now.
Oh, so that, oh, and this is
But
only
with Center for
50.
Security,
They
they're
weren't
only
tied
going to charge
into
us
the fire
$50 a year.
department.
But you got to put
What's
all the
that?
money in first.
They weren't tied into the fire department.
This one
This
is.
one, I don't think this one is either.
Yeah, this is,
$300 less, okay.
it's not a local alarm. It's
They're gonna be tied in with it. The other one wasn't.
and we have to have that because this building is empty 4 days a week. So without that, local alarms, you hear it. You say, oh, there's a fire, I call the fire department. You're not here
Nobody can.
without a local,
Resolution authorizing you up to that amount, but if you find something another bit less before you pull the trigger in the next month, if you want to try to get a better price from our first,
We pass this now.
you will pass the resolution authorizing you to do it up to that amount. If you can find something less for that month, you've got authorization to do it.
So we gotta wait a month then.
No, you're going to do your authorization now. You do, you have time to check the price, see if you get a good price. You wouldn't have to bring it back to that next month, you'd have the authority to just go ahead and do it if you find something better. No,
How long it took to get some.
yeah, I don't think you can.
These people don't move this fast anymore. This isn't 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
I don't have any other suggestions.
So do we have to make a motion, or is there one written here for this?
There's one in there, isn't there?
Maybe we ought to do it.
Yeah, I'll make the motion. I don't think we have a choice. It's just not, it's not a matter of having options in that particular case. You know, we have a responsibility to the town, to the taxpayers, to protect the building.
You talk to Center for Security over here, maybe you can drop the price on it. They do take care of the handicap doors. He installed them. Maybe they can work on it. That was just it took a long time for them to come up with a price too. I was calling them for months and months now. They finally came up.
I think Gerard's idea was good about up to that amount, and if they can do it for less, that amount would be in their coverage. Is that what you're saying, Gerard?
Yeah. In case you can find something better.
So we could change the language in the resolution slightly to read that we would be approving up to that amount.
Okay.
But if we can get it a little cheaper, we will. And I'll make that resolution. I think we need to do that.
I'll second.
You second it?
It is hereby resolved that the town board approves the quotation by Center for Security to install fire monitoring alarm system in the town hall for a price of not to exceed $17,600.
That language sounds good.
Do you want to limit the Center for Security, or do you want to see the ability to go somewhere else?
Can we be more broad?
Yeah.
Just say up to that amount for the fire system.
For whatever it is you're getting, yeah.
Councilman Foldy?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Moore?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes.
She just wrote it.
Okay, I guess council member comments or concerns, you got any? Ben?
So about the solar, even though we have addressed this every month, I kind of wish they were still here, but even though some of them are not residents of Princetown, every time we've gotten a complaint, we have gone up there. I've toured the facility, I think Jim has, Lou's been there a couple times, we've sent code enforcement, we've paid our town engineer to go up there and kind of look at what's going on, and every single time they've come back and said that it's okay, whatever it is that they're doing up there. Am I correct?
That's right.
Yeah. They also get, I don't know what the technical term is, but they get inspected by a third party.
I've had 3 inspections over here from 3 different companies, Labarge, we had one from our engineer, our town engineer, and another company. And you've read the reports.
Yeah.
And you've read them. We've got them, Crystal's got them over here in her office. There's 3 reports, that's why I said if they wanted to file a FOIL request, we could have given them to them tonight. All 3 of the reports, there was a couple minor things on them.
Yeah.
Very minor. They're within the boundaries. It was surveyed. The lot line adjustment was in. They have not cut any trees down on their property from what we saw. I don't know, Ben and I were up there. I was up there with code enforcement.
When you get 2 days of rain, heavy rain like we had in Hill Country.
2 days, it's been raining for a while.
Right. But unfortunately, you're gonna get some mud. I mean,
The only thing
I wish we could wave a magic wand and make it go away. We can't. We
The
don't
only thing
have.
you can do is put more stone on the road and build it up higher, that's all.
Yeah,
That's the only thing you can do.
So she had mentioned that we don't take their complaints seriously, but we do. I think almost every time, if not every time, we've sent somebody up there to look at that solar facility. So I don't know what they want.
I have no idea either. We've got 3 reports, the last 3 reports we've got. I wanted to give it to them tonight. They're not interested in it.
Yeah, and we appreciate their frustration. I mean, nobody in this town wants to be surrounded by solar farms, but it's been inspected. by code enforcement, by our engineer, by outside companies, and all of the reports, like Lou said. minimal.
DEC was up there 2 weeks prior to the last time we went up there with our town engineer and our code enforcement officer. And DEC was up there 2 weeks prior. They found nothing wrong.
The other thing is, the state of New York is determined, you know, New York State is gonna be a solar state. That was started with Como when he was here. And over a certain size, we have absolutely no control. We can say, no, we don't want it, and they can say tough. But the reality is that the state of New York wants it. So when you get right down to it, you know, to eliminate something like that would mean to go to the state. The state's not gonna cooperate, period.
You know, and we get it, nobody up here wants to have these in Princetown, but, you know, I wasn't on the town board at this time, but we made our solar laws as restrictive as we
You
could.
got the most restrictive solar. You gotta have 100 acres. I don't think there's a town around that says that you have to have 100 acres before you can have a solar facility.
If we didn't do that law, it'd be a carnival. This town would be a
Rotterdam is
carnival.
putting them up on Burdick Street, a little small parcel, 5S. We have 100 acres. We've got the most, how many parcels do we have left that are open land that they can put, that you can put a solar facility on it? I can't think of too many in this town that's left.
There's a few, but without that law, this would be a carnival town. You'd have these things all over the place. Every time somebody's got 7 acres, boom, there's a solar.
Don't mind.
Right, well, no, they can't.
Yeah, as soon as they go above, it's 25, 20 to 25.
20 or 25.
So from 20 to 25, they can go through the town or the state. Once it's above 25, they can go through the state, and then there's nothing in Princetown.
State bypasses the town.
Yeah.
They got the biggest solar facilities going up in Montgomery County, 350 megawatts. 350 megawatts. There's signs all up and down Route 30. They're not gonna stop it. It's not gonna happen. 350 megawatts. You think they're gonna stop this? It's not gonna happen. And you wanna know something? If you actually look at it, I think 1.5% is coming from solar and wind. Did you know that? There's a real time you can get on to look what actually is being generated with this solar and wind.
If they wanted green renewable energy, it'd be nuclear, and that would be the route.
Hydroelectric and healing, or hydrogen, the 3 biggies that eventually are gonna provide carbonless energy.
There isn't enough land in this country over here to provide that, to have enough, to generate enough electricity to do that. 1 to 1.5% is coming from that right now. Look at all of the facilities. Look up in Watertown, all of them windmills. Go out Route 20 and see all of the windmills up. You don't see them down there, down in Montauk, Long Island, over there where all of the elites live. You don't see them down there off the coast. Or off of Cape Cod.
That was it. I have nothing else.
So, we did what we had to do.
You know, we get it, we're very sympathetic, trust me, if we could tell the solar companies to all go away, we would. But all they have to do is come back and say, this is a 30 megawatt facility, and they go through the state approval, and
And there's tons of money available through the state to
Well, they're
subsidize.
funding the whole thing. I was told by that attorney that crafted the solar law ordinance for us, he said, when this all comes to pass in 20 or 30 years, it's all you're gonna have is solar junkyards all over the state. They start losing their efficiency from day one. We don't get anything out of these ones we got up over here. But I'm not in that decision-making thing in the state, so I didn't have anything to say about it, neither does anybody on the town board. So, all right, we'd like to thank everybody for coming, but we're gonna have to go into executive session to discuss some personnel matters. So, thank you all for coming, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Did you want this document?
I can
Yeah.
scan it.